How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Sports Weekly podcast from the Iowa State Daily. Like always, I am Brett Schwellmeyer, sports editor, and I'll be your host, and I'll have my co-hosts introduce themselves.
What's up, guys? Assistant sports editor Pavel Markovic.
Hi, I'm Katie Schaefer, sports reporter.
This will probably be our last episode of the year.
Probably.
It's crazy how fast time goes, you know?
Yeah. It's going to be Brett and I's last time, as graduating seniors. Yeah. But Katie will be sticking around. So, have fun with more of her along with the other sports desk. So.
Yep. Kind of manifested it, too.
That's true.
Yeah. We're going to recap the draft for you guys. I know that we previewed it, had our prediction articles out there. Caden, who's not joining us again for the podcast, actually got one of them right, which was pretty surprising, pretty cool. We unfortunately got every single one wrong.
Well,
I think.
You did.
I did,
If we count Verdon, then I got it right.
Yeah, because, I was too ambitious.
Yeah.
Anyway, nobody got drafted on night one. I thought that Jalen Knoll would, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. But He did get taken on night two, but a couple before him did. First of those, Jaden Higgins, night number 2, 34th overall to the Houston Texans.
That's a good pick. I mean, I could have seen also Higgins go first round, maybe to like the Packers or something, but then they took Golden, which, kind of as a Bears fan, it's kind of funny how I think it was like first time since 2002 that they picked a receiver. I always love seeing that they, can't do that. But
it was a good pick for them, though.
That was,
I liked Golden. He was one of my favorites for the draft.
Yeah, just got to do this one more time. But Higgins going 34th overall kind of surprised me, honestly. I mean, Houston did trade out of the first round. I think it was with the Giants. Mm-hmm. So. Kind of a surprise there just for that team to trade out, but then to go with Higgins at first, kind of surprising. And I saw a lot of comparisons where Nico Collins, same team too, so it'd be awesome for him. And I think it was just a really solid pick. And I think it was a bit earlier than I expected, but ended up working out. Yeah,
I think we had him around like pick 40 or something. Mm-hmm. Like the three of us that
I think I had 42 to your Jets.
Yeah, I mean I would have took him.
Right.
But, I mean, just didn't pan out.
I'm sure he would have if he got
there. We kind of need receivers right now, but besides the point.
We took a receiver too, but.
Yeah. Katie, what did you think of this pick?
I was a little surprised. I thought Jalen was going to go first, personally. I'm not surprised Jaden got picked, but in that order, Jalen had it first, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I do feel like Higgins does fit in with this receiver room well, though. When you talk about a guy like Nico Collins, even like Tank Dell, just kind of like physical guys, and I feel like Higgins fits that really well. But at the same time, there's going to be a lot of competition because if he's going to be fighting to play, for playing time with those guys, he's going to have to be even more aggressive and just really want it more than those guys. And they've already proven that they can play in the NFL.
Absolutely. I think they'll be just fine in terms of competition. Obviously, like you said, Tank Dell's probably going to be at least out for a bit, maybe not the whole year, but still like the injury was pretty gruesome. But then Nico Collins, I mean, he's not, I guess, perfect health-wise. I think he had a couple injuries last year. And then, I like to see more out of Hutchinson too, get more playing time, get a lot of playing time. And now we got Higgins and then, of course, Knoll too. So
which we'll get to.
Yeah, it's going to be the Houston Cyclones, kind of saying that a little bit early, but love to see it.
Yeah. I think that Higgins can bring some really good things to this receiver room. Mm-hmm. Then a few picks later, round 3, early third round of the draft, Darian Porter goes 68th overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. This was the one that Caden had right on the nose. I feel like this is a really good pick for the Raiders.
Yeah. First off, props to Caden, getting there literally dead on. And this is even like we made our picks, obviously, pre-trades, and like the Houston one, we didn't expect that with the Giants and stuff. So, first off, good on him. But secondly, I think I really like this fit with the Raiders, honestly, for Porter. So, their defense has been okay. I mean, they're kind of in the, I'd say, like rebuilding-ish stage because, in a tough division too. So, but adding Porter, like a guy here, really versatile, where he's fast and can play special teams as well. I think it's going to really fit well with this Vegas team.
I agree. Yeah. I just think that his athletic ability is what really stood out to me, and I think just everybody in the draft. Like, I think he was ranked second in athleticism for cornerbacks that went to the combine. Like, that's nuts.
Right.
And he kind of proved it too, playing as a receiver for his first 3 years and then switching over to a defensive back role for his final 3 years at Iowa State.
Yeah, it was perfect for him. And, I think that, having that experience playing receiver and cornerback also kind of helps him, like I think we've said before, like, helping to read the field kind of as a cornerback and then, with the special teams ability too. So I think this is, kind of wish for him and, Knoll to kind of go earlier. I was kind of surprised that, after Higgins went, it took a while for the next guy to get picked for the next Cyclone, but, still went at a good time. So props to looking forward to what Porter is be able to do in Vegas.
Yeah. Katie, your thoughts?
I think Porter's a really good fit.
Yeah.
I think he's super fast, and I think he has great recovery time. I read a lot of things where he was going to be the potential like first pick or second pick in the draft, like late first pick. So I was surprised to wait a while. But I think he's a great pick. I don't know much about this team, but I do know like not a lot of their cornerbacks have stood out to me, so I think he can definitely make an impact.
Yeah. Now, I do know that you are a Chiefs fan.
Yes.
So how do you feel about Porter possibly being matched up with some Chiefs receivers this upcoming season?
Honestly, that's fine because I think my Chiefs can handle it.
Okay.
I think we're totally capable.
Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna owe it. I'm gonna be equal and say I will cheer for the Iowa State player, and I will cheer for the Chiefs player, but I think the Chiefs are gonna win it out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like, if he gets like a pick or something, that's cool, but as long as the Chiefs win, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If the end result is the Chiefs win and make it to a Super Bowl and win again, I'm fine.
Yeah, but you just don't know.
I don't think we'd be fine.
Especially not you,
Yeah.
But it's going to be one of those Porter pick sixes with Mahomes.
Oh,
for, the one Raiders win potentially. I mean, I doubt the Raiders actually beat the Chiefs this year, but
Probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, that'll be definitely interesting to watch.
They still might just be lucky to win a game in that division, honestly. It's arguably the best one in the NFL right now.
Right, yeah.
I mean, the Raiders are the weak point, but it's still overall really good.
Yeah, very competitive.
Yep. After Porter, then it was finally Jalen Knowles' turn. A few picks after Porter, 79th overall, still in the third round, to the Texans. So Higgins and Knoll, like you alluded to earlier, stick together.
Yeah,
I think cool.
Yeah, I think a few more picks from 68th to 79th. That's kind of more than a few, but 11 picks later.
I mean,
it works. Still in this third round.
Well, I mean, like when you figure there's 257 picks overall, it's not that many.
That's true. Yeah, fair enough. But regardless of the bickering right there, very surprised that Houston. I think Houston traded back into the spot with I think maybe it was Washington, but. Regardless, I'm very surprised that they kind of went null after picking Higgins, kind of already talking about the receiver room with Collins. I mean, Dell will probably be out for a while. Hutchinson and John Mechie, of course, from Alabama. Right. So kind of a crowded receiver room now, but, three of those guys being Cyclones now is going to be must-watch TV, I'm telling you. I'm
a little shocked that Houston didn't really try and go for offensive line as aggressively as they probably should have. Mm-hmm. Like I know that they've got like you're saying, a ton of injuries at the receiver room, and they probably needed a couple more bodies there, and they got some really good ones in Higgins and Knoll. Mm-hmm. But don't you want to protect C.J. Stroud? Like I feel like that should have been higher on their priority list, to be honest.
And they just traded Tunsil too to Washington, so that's kind of a surprise. And I mean, I hope that you get the ball is what all I'm saying, because Stroud's going to have a fun time back there, I'll say. Yeah.
Katie, your thoughts on Knoll to the Texans and a trio of Cyclones in that receiver room over there now?
I personally really wanted Jalen to go to the Chiefs.
Yeah, I had him going there.
I know, I saw it, and I strongly predicted him. Even like Matt Campbell said that that was kind of on that radar.
Yep.
But I love keeping the dynamic duo together. I think that's super strong for the Texans. Just having all that athleticism, and Jalen's super speedy, which is so great for them. And then I think the story about how Jalen had a fortune cookie and it said like you're going to reconnect with like a long lost friend or something was so sweet. So I cried. Like I couldn't stop. I love this pick. Okay. And I know there's like definitely some controversy about the Texans and just like this overall, like as you said, like they should have gone more offensively, but I really like this pick. I don't have any problems with it. I'm fine.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that just them being around each other and their work ethic and everything that they've kind of been through here should translate to Houston. I think that having each other to kind of lean on is really going to help out both of them throughout, the whole season and possibly into the future should they both stay in Houston.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that concluded day one, or I guess day two of the NFL draft. Day one of Cyclones getting taken in the draft. But then on day three, we had a lot more players end up going to NFL rosters. Only one got drafted on day three. That was the big offensive lineman, Jalen Travis, 127th overall, 4th round to the Indianapolis Colts. I really liked this pick for the Colts.
I think this is a really good value for them, honestly.
Yeah.
Going, I think, into draft season was kind of Travis maybe going 6th or 7th round, but then obviously performed really well at the Senior Bowl against really tough competition. Even at the NFL Combine too, put on a really big show, and this draft class is a lot really offensive line heavy too, so it's kind of hard for people to stand out, but he found a way to do it. So seeing him picked 127th overall is kind of a surprise, honestly. I think I had him going in the 5th round. I think all three of us did, honestly.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I mean, at first I kind of had him in like that 6-7 range, but then I put him up to the 5th round, and obviously the Colts saw something in him that a lot of people might have overlooked probably. And I think that this is a good fit for him because we've seen it in years past. The Colts, I feel like, have had one of the stronger offensive lines in the league. They know how to develop these guys, and Jalen Travis, I think, can really fit the mold and help them out a lot.
Absolutely, yeah, especially with what their offense is trying to achieve with Anthony Richardson and all that. I think he could really provide a key piece for that team.
Absolutely. Katie, your thoughts?
I think he has a lot of potential. I think he has a lot of potential to become a starter.
Yeah.
Maybe pretty quickly if like Rainman or Smith are out, whatever. Especially with coach trying new combinations and stuff, I think he would definitely really improve and just be a really great starter.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I do wonder how Iowa State's offensive line is going to kind of counteract the loss of Jalen Travis. I feel like that room is deep enough and they have the pieces there to do it, but I'm just, again, I feel like we talk about it like every year with Iowa State's offensive line, like how do they, combat the losses of the seniors and everything, but I feel like this time around it's, maybe a bigger deal just because of some of the names that they did lose.
Right, yeah, and you talked about Travis obviously leaving, Hufford, of course, longtime guy there, and then losing those pair of twins also from the transfer portal. And then, but they did get some guys like Austin Barrett, the brother of Dylan Barrett. So I think it'll be fine for this next upcoming season, especially for that Cyclones offense. But, losing a guy like Travis usually never helps, especially only the one season he was there, which is, I mean, played really well, of course.
He did, yeah. And, I mean, they've got big shoes to fill, too, because they barely gave up any sacks all year. Like, Rocco was on his feet more often than he was on the ground.
Right, yeah.
So that'll do it for the draftees. 4 draftees for the Cyclones. Not bad by any means. A pretty solid showing for Iowa State this year.
Absolutely, and conveniently all the AFC teams too. I mean, even the UDFAs too, which we're about to talk about. Only one guy went to an NFC team, or 2, sorry, but still majority of AFC. I mean, that just kind of shows the impact the AFC has in choosing these key players for these teams.
Absolutely. So the first of the undrafted free agents that we're going to look at, Steve Klotz. Signed to the Los Angeles Chargers, and there was a couple guys who signed to the Chargers this season. Klotz, in his time at Iowa State, 15 catches, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns, also 2 rushes for 22 yards and 2 tackles.
Yeah, and I remember him for that punt return or whatever, the fake punt.
Yeah, that's where some of his rushing yards came from.
Yeah, that's it's like 2 rush for 22 yards. The majority of those came on that one carry. So, but it's good for Klotz to sign a deal with the Chargers. I think, he's probably going to be more of their fullback. Obviously, it seemed like what he's doing with Iowa State too as well. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he does with that team, just knowing what their offensive strategy is going to look like.
Yeah. Katie, how do you feel like Klotz can fit in with the Chargers?
I think fine. I feel like he has a lot of room to grow, personally.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm kind of interested to see how that all turns out.
Fair enough.
Are you in kind of the same situation of thinking like, with Porter being on the Raiders and playing against the Chiefs, this is another guy who's going to be against the Chiefs, but maybe won't see the field as much as Porter probably will?
Yeah, which I mean, I love because he is a great player, but yeah, I don't see him becoming a starter yet or doing anything crazy yet. I think he has a lot of room to grow as a player, but is still absolutely amazing and has a lot of potential.
Yeah. He was one of my favorites when he would get introduced to everything. Like, he has such a cool name, like Steve-O. I don't know. I just like that.
Absolutely.
It's fun to say. But yeah, I'm excited for him. Iowa State's had some really strong tight ends these past few seasons, like back to the Brock Purdy era when you had like Charlie Kolar, Chase Allen, all those guys. So I think that, Steve-O could, like you're saying, Katie, definitely some room to grow. But I think that if he has that development and he just keeps on progressing, he could maybe turn into a guy like Charlie Kolar who can have some moments, like he does for the Ravens.
Right.
Yeah. After that, like Pavle said earlier, Jared Hufford signs to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah. Another AFC West team. It's going to be Katie's Chiefs talk with all the Raiders and Chargers about to talk about. So, but yeah, Hufford signed with the Raiders. I mean, their O-line was, they got up 50 sacks last year, which is, not the best. Yeah. And they still only took two offensive linemen during this draft too. So it'll be nice, of course, to him to join Darian Porter on the Raiders. But I think he also has a good chance to make the roster too. Hufford is really obviously, I think the one player I remember him by was to shift Sama against the Houston game. It's a hot Sama rush up the field. So I like where Hufford went.
Yep. Yeah, I like the pick for the Raiders. I think it's a good one. Or not pick, I guess, like the signing.
Right.
I like the signing for it. Hufford's a really good player. He's a big dude. I just feel like he can definitely, like you're saying, help out the Raiders. Yeah, for sure.
No, I agree. You took the words right out of my mouth. He's a big dude. And he's really great, and I don't have any critiques I guess about the Raiders picks, mostly because I don't really know the Raiders, but also they're great players. You can't go wrong with them.
Yeah,
they all bring a little something to the table.
Yeah, I feel like we don't know much about the Raiders because the Raiders just aren't that good.
Right. Yeah, probably just got Geno and all that, so we'll see what happens.
That's true. Yeah.
Genty. It'll help if Hufford actually gets some starting time to help Genty, really succeed on that team. So
absolutely. Who knows? Maybe he can, help Genty have a Abu Sama moment.
yeah, shift him around. Just go this way, sir.
Yep. So then moving over to the other side of the ball, J.R. Singleton signs with the Seattle Seahawks. I think this is a really, really good pickup for them. I think that J.R. was arguably one of the best on the defensive line last season, probably the best. I don't know. I just feel like it's a good pick.
Yeah, I also agree with you. Good pick. In his time here with Iowa State, obviously the longtime defensive captain, recorded 74 total tackles, 27 solo, 7.5 sacks, and then 3 forced fumbles and a pass deflected. So I think really what his main ability with Seattle, if he does make the roster, of course, is his leadership ability.
Yeah.
We really saw it with Iowa State and how he really led this defense, not just this past season, but the past couple seasons, and then now getting to go to Seattle, which, their defensive line was – they didn't draft anyone during the 3-day draft, but I think if J.R. Singleton makes his way onto the roster, I think he could provide a very key impact, and it might not show up on the stat sheet either.
Absolutely. Katie, your thoughts on J.R.?
I think he's a great player. I think him going to the Seahawks was great. The Seahawks have had a lot of ups and downs over the past couple months, especially with just trading and everything.
Right.
So I think you can only go up, and I think he's a great player, and he's totally eligible to be on that team.
Absolutely.
Do you think he is a starter right away?
UDFA, I don't know if he will be.
I don't think so.
Yeah, probably not.
Probably
but
not.
One can hope, but probably not.
Yeah.
Staying on the defensive side of the ball, Miles Purchase also signed a deal with the Chargers. As a Cyclone, 145 tackles, 92 solo, defended 24 passes, had a sack, a forced fumble, and an interception.
Yeah. He wasn't really the ball hawk type of guy, but he played really well defensively. I feel like last season maybe a little bit more to improve upon, but the season before, he was really well, pretty highly stocked. So now him going to the Chargers, he could also, like Klotz, play a big role in this defense. They kind of need corners, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think similar to Hufford, I feel like he does have a lot of room to grow. I think he's a great person and a great player, but I think the Chargers honestly were kind of a good fit for him.
Yeah. Right. Again, Miles Purchase at the start of the football season this past year was my preseason pick for Defensive Player of the Year for Iowa State. Didn't necessarily happen. I thought that Purchase definitely, like you said, kind of took a step back, it felt like, in his play this season. I hope that he can find success in the NFL, but I'm honestly a little leery about it just because of how he finished out last season.
Right, yeah.
So I guess we'll just have to see.
Yeah, I say with the development on an NFL team now, hopefully this training camp really helps him really perform well. Even with the Chargers receivers, they're not the greatest, of course, but could be interesting to see if he really raises up the stock on himself to make the actual team in the fall.
Yeah. Then the final player who signed to a roster was Malik Verdon to the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, and this was kind of a surprise because I know you had him going 7th round, I think, to the Steelers, and he's like the only other guy who didn't. He's like the one player on Iowa State who went to the combine but didn't get drafted. So, but that also I feel like it's just other things that happened to him, with the injuries, of course, and stuff, and it kind of limited him. So I feel like this kind of ended up happening, but I feel like him going to Atlanta will kind of help himself.
Absolutely. I feel like again, the injuries, being limited at the combine, only doing 2 drills. And it felt like it was probably going to happen because, like, when we were in Arlington and we saw that huge wrap on his arm, like we've mentioned many times before, it's like
a robot.
Ooh, that doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Katie, how do you feel about Verdon getting, undrafted and signing with the Falcons?
Yeah, I think going to Going to the Falcons will definitely help with his confidence. I think he's a very versatile player and will definitely add to the roster, but I don't see him starting anytime soon, but only has room to grow.
Yeah, I can see him making the roster, but maybe not being a starter. I feel like he has that skill set to it. I mean, during his time at Iowa State, 133 tackles, 67 of those being solo, 10 passes defended, 3 picks, a sack, and a forced fumble. So all around, again, just kind of like a Miles Purchase type player, can kind of do it all, it feels like, and can definitely add a lot to a team.
Absolutely. And we've seen him line up at the linebacker spot too. So like Katie said, his versatility and stuff, I think he'll definitely help him try to make the roster. Yeah.
I think so now that we've kind of like gone through, all these players, who's one player, like a senior from Iowa State this past season, that didn't or hasn't signed with an NFL team that you're kind of like upset hasn't, or one that you thought might? Is somebody like that? I have one in mind that I knew probably wouldn't, but it made sense.
I think I probably know who you're going to pick, but
who do you think I'm going to pick?
Bo Freeler.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, the injury in the Pop-Tarts Bowl really killed it, but I mean, I don't know what he would have done. I think he even get an invite to the combine and stuff. I think he just might be, getting away from football now. But, he was a really good player to see with Iowa State. Obviously, a big leader. Really helped this team get to where it was last season, especially. Like, he was a big part in where they were and how they got there. So kind of unfortunate with him. I don't know what you're going to say about him.
Yeah, no, I mean, Bo was probably one of my favorite players, ever to put on an Iowa State jersey. Just what he stood for over his, entire time here. Like, he spent his entire, collegiate career here. Had a huge leadership role on not just the defense but the team. Like Verdon, he's a versatile player. Like, he would be playing like in the box with the linebacker sometimes, everywhere on the field. And when he went down with that injury in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, that was like just gut-wrenching, just my least favorite moment, the worst moment of the year for me. Yeah. Just for it to, happen in that game after he helped lead the team there, that sucked. But, I mean, at least he still got to have the moment with the team and celebrate with them afterwards.
True, yeah. They got the win for him.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
All for Bo.
Yep. Katie, do you have anyone that
I'd have to say Bo. Okay. I think he was one of the first players I've really noticed when I came to Iowa State, whether it was just, I don't know, seeing him on like the screen or just seeing him just all over the field and his fun name. Like, I just thought he was such a great player and he really stuck out to me the whole time. Seeing him crying on the sidelines of the Pop-Tarts Bowl was definitely a low moment, and I definitely could have seen him drafted. But I think he's just a great person. Absolutely.
Well, we have a couple minutes left. So what are you guys' favorite moments of this past football season? Like, you could do like 1, 2. Doesn't matter.
I'll let Katie go first because I know we kind of talked about that in Sports Weekly.
Yep.
I feel like there's a lot of highs. There are so many. The Pop-Tarts Bowl was probably my favorite after just like the whole loss after the Big 12 and seeing all the seniors play one more last time. That was definitely a really big high for me. And just all the records we were breaking. Like, every time I'd go to a tailgate, I'd be like, oh, yeah, we're 7-0. Like, we're killing it. We're doing such a good job. So I would have to say Pop-Tarts Bowl, mostly because that's also just a really fun game to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, everything is great.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'd probably just go back to what I said on Sports Weekly 100, which if you haven't watched that, of course, watch that. Me and Brett got dressed up for it and spun a wheel, which, was always fun to watch.
Yeah, go watch it, you guys. Come on.
Yeah, if you haven't watched, if you already watched it, thank you. But otherwise, probably still say the UCF game. Just the most thrilling way. I mean, to keep the undefeated record and just the way it went down, I mean, just unbelievable.
So I probably said something different on the Sports Weekly 100, but I think the moment that kind of stuck out to me the most was the first play of the season. When Noel catches that pass in traffic on 2 North Dakota defenders, that kind of set the tone of the entire season for me. Like, okay, they're going like, full bore, they're sending everything, and then the play after, Higgins catches a touchdown. Absolute cinema to start the season, and it just, carried the whole way, it felt like.
Yeah, and literally right afterwards, the Higgins touchdown, so literally just 1-2, and right there we already scored. But, afterwards it didn't go so great, I guess, offensively, but still it was a fun moment, like you said, right
Absolutely.
Off the bat.
Well, that's going to do it for me and Pavle. We're graduating, so this will be the last time you probably see us. Katie's taking over next year with Ford, who's not here today, but we'll be in the future. So we thank you guys so much for following along with us the entire year. We've had a blast. I'll never forget this year. It was so much fun, and we'll see you guys, later on down the road.
Yeah. See y'all.